morning, everyone. This is Saleha Kumuwala. I'm a professor at the Bauer College of Business, University of Houston. Welcome to all of you to the 2020 Exchange. Thank you, Michelle, for getting us started. Our session this morning is From Classroom to the Field, Student Entrepreneurs for Community Impact. I have with us as panelists, as speakers, Professor Jared Kalake from, he's a lead professor of social entrepreneurship at Valencia College and has a great model to present to us and share with us. My professor at the Bauer College, professor of practice, Charlie Becker, and our two awesome students, Rachel and Emma, who are also with us. So we get started. I want to basically tell you what the goals are of our session this morning, and before what the learning outcomes are. So this morning from our session, the three learning outcomes are: you will embrace the challenges and rewards while developing the entrepreneurial solutions. You will see how students are encouraged and their individual motivations. And you will also learn about each of our programs. There are different scales of operations and the history of our programs. Before we get started into our presentations, I want to take a minute to acknowledge the space that we are in this morning. Ashoka had suggested a land acknowledgement. Well, the land acknowledgement, the land that we are in is this digital land, this digital space. And I want to be really grateful that we are all able to be in this digital space and we're able to participate in this conference. Because as you and I know, there are quite a few out there that have not been able to join us for various reasons. And therefore, if we can take a few seconds this morning just to be quiet and acknowledge the space that we are in and be grateful for what we have, it's a real blessing to all of us. So in about 5 seconds, let's just put our heads down, be thankful, and then we will get started. Thank you. Thank you. So the program that we have at the University of Houston at the Bauer College of Business is, the acronym is SURE, Stimulating Urban Renewal Through Entrepreneurship. You probably are wondering, what is SURE? So SURE is an innovative educational platform. It creates a value-added partnership between UH students, under-resourced entrepreneurs from our local community, and executives from the Houston business community.
I joined the SURE program initially because I wanted a foundation of what it takes to run your own business.
One of the tremendous things about the SURE program is it serves as an amazing starting point for anyone. The SURE program already has a system in place that takes an entrepreneur from concept all the way to a full-blown business plan.
It's an incredible opportunity, but also you have to be ready to work hard and really put yourself into the program to get the most out of it.
What they do really well in the SURE program is they teach you, the academics in classroom, but then they actually imply it in the real world and how to deal with people and work with business owners to really affect their business and make a change and difference in the world.
You'll learn every aspect of a business. You'll learn how to structure your business. You'll have your business plan, and you'll be very encouraged and motivated to move forward with the business that you had planned on creating.
The consultants, it helps really provide an excellent foundation into real-world experience. You can gain knowledge in areas that you might not know. You can network with other entrepreneurs and you can learn from the challenges that they're facing.
The SURE program does more for this community than they realize. There are a lot of people out there that don't have the opportunity or the resources to get this information.
I would absolutely recommend the SURE program to another entrepreneur. There's so many people out there that want to be their own entrepreneur and make their dreams come true. And I think this is just an amazing way of giving the people the right tools to do so.
So I will now hand it over to my co-presenter, Professor Charlie Becker, who will explain to you why SURE works and why it's important.
So basically, I'm going to go through this very quickly because we brought some students with us and they're the ones who have the coolest things to share. But just to give the background for the feedback that they're going to give you, I'm going to run through how SURE works and specifically how it works for our two stakeholder groups, students and entrepreneurs, and some of the impact that we've had in that regard. So essentially with those three stakeholder groups we talked about, students, entrepreneurs, and the larger community, students become consultants. So we train them and they receive real world experience and critical skills training by consulting for 5 local entrepreneurs. Okay, so under-resourced entrepreneurs receive a world-class business education, one-on-one help from students and experts, and build key professional relationships by writing a business plan. At Houston Business Community, they receive positive ROI and branding and an opportunity to give back. One of the hypotheses of the SURE program is that everyone wants to give back, but some people value their time as such. It sounds funny, but they can't find a way to give back where they feel they're having the same impact that they might have in their professional and personal lives. And we feel like by giving a lot of the experts who come in the opportunity to teach to a college class and work with hundreds of entrepreneurs, they're able to give back in a way that they feel is valuable to their time. And they do that by becoming guests, mentors, and lecturers. Okay, so the SURE goals are twofold. First is to train students with the skills they need to outperform robots. And that's empathy, entrepreneurial mindset, critical thinking, and communication. And second is to economically underpower entrepreneurs in under-resourced communities. And so we have pictures of both of our groups here. So basically there's 3 student problems solved by SURE. First is that in 2020, the catch-22 for finding a job is that entry-level jobs require professional experience. So a lot of our students want entry-level jobs, but they can't get professional experience. We have a lot of employers tell us that good grades are not good enough, that they try to work with their students and they get these new 4.0s fresh out of school, but they can't put them down in front of a client, or they don't take initiative or solve complex problems. And finally, AI and automation are threatening even white-collar jobs, where we're seeing kind of like a changing idea of what expertise is and how closely it can be guarded and whether or not people are able to, those jobs are safe from automation and AI. And so basically the AACSB is one of our accrediting bodies, and these are their learning goals. And I'm just going to touch on a few, but basically the oral and written communication skills are key because all week long, our entrepreneurs or our students are working with a team of 4 to 5 entrepreneurs who have been assigned to them, who they take through the business plan writing process, which is the inverse of a lot of classes where it will be a team of students working with a single client. Our students each have 4 to 5 of their own clients. They have to do a lot of research to build out the industry analysis for these clients. It creates ethical awareness because it's a working relationship, unlike what a lot of the students have had before. And the technological and analytical problem solving skills is big because they'll have a huge range of technological and educational backgrounds within their entrepreneur group. And so they'll have to be really creative in the different solutions that they use to work with their entrepreneurs. So these are a couple testimonials just from the last semester, spring 2019. So Christopher is a Master of Finance student who said, "You'll learn fundamental business concepts and how to advise a client. There's no textbook that will cover some of the challenges you face." And this is something we hear a lot. If there were ever a need to describe a time when you've blank insofar as leadership or teamwork or overcoming adversity in an interview, SURE provides those experiences for students. And then Charlicia, or Chaz, as she went through was she said, each assignment takes me out of my zone of imagination and onto a plane of practicality, which was her way of saying that it's a lot less theory and a lot more application. And she said it's better than any internship because you're doing what you're doing in an educational context. So beyond just the professors, they also have mentors to help. And so the entrepreneurs have a different set of problems that they get solved by Sure. And those problems come in threefold. So even though Houston has one of the strongest local economies in the country, we define these communities as under-resourced because the financial, educational resources and the informal networks that make it easy to start a business sometimes have not evenly penetrated all the communities in Houston, which I'm sure is a phenomenon in your own communities you can identify with, right? And so, advance. And so by bringing the entrepreneurs in this project, we've been able to solve a huge issue, which is just like bringing people together, right? And so we've educated over 1,300 entrepreneurs, started over 400 businesses. 77% of the entrepreneurs we've worked with have been Black or Latinx. The average age, which those of you with the statistical background will know that that's not really the way it's done, but just to give you an idea, is 41. 63% were below the HUD low income level. 93% were referrals. 98% said that the program improved their financial literacy. And our favorite statistic is $0, which is how much money entrepreneurs have paid for this program in its history. And one thing that's really cool about this program is we're working in under-resourced communities. So a lot of them come in under this HUD threshold or without a lot of educational background, but a lot of the people who are coming in are just a part of these communities culturally or economically and are incredibly educationally accomplished or incredibly well off financially, right? So we're getting an immense spectrum of people with all these different creative solutions from all these different walks of life who are part of these really important communities for the city of Houston.
Businesses or at social service organizations is a wonderful way to help people figure out how to engage in change making professionally. However, we understand that there are limitations because.
Okay, I don't know what that was. Sorry, I just heard a voice talking on my computer. I apologize for that. I'm not sure. So essentially, these are some awards that we've won. This is a boring slide. It's just kind of like to let you know other people have noticed what we do. If you want to Google these later, download the PowerPoint. They're good awards. And then these are some of our partners. We started out with very few partners, but over the years, we've built up a huge community. And our biggest community of supporters right now is actually the people who have already been through and graduated from the program. Okay, so I hope I made a good time there. We wanted to give 2 of our students an opportunity to speak for 1 or 2 minutes each. We brought them with us. And so I'm going to hand it over. If we could hear from Rachel and Emma, and I'll let you all decide. Did you all decide who was going to go first already?
It doesn't really matter to me. I can go already.
Then go for it.
They're well versed enough to kind of talk about it. I guess I can go first since I'm already talking. I came into the Sure program kind of vaguely understanding what I would be doing, but really coming out of it as a consultant, I really found that, I was able to. It was a test of true skills, really, because the mark of a good teacher and a good leader is being able to adapt your communication styles to kind of effectively teach and pass on the information that I'm trying to pass on. Because what good is all this financial statement knowledge, for example, if I can't communicate that information to somebody else? And I had entrepreneurs that the only way they could understand what I was trying to tell them was to sit down and build the Excel formula with them, or to have an hour-and-a-half phone call with them to kind of explain everything that I'm looking for. Exactly. So, I mean, the program really enables you to kind of grow and become a better leader with the skills that you already have, because I'm very fortunate at the age of 21 to be pursuing my master's in finance, and to, I don't know how else I can give back other than passing on all this information that I've learned from all the education that I have to communities that really need it. And it's not like, Dr. K said, the first day of SURE class last semester, something like everyone was to donate to all these third world countries and to kind of support them, but we have one in our own city and people are forgetting about them. And so I was like, wow, you know, ever since I heard that, I was sold on the program and its mission, because that's so true. I mean, these people are our neighbors and here they are, they can't figure out how to start their own business. Well, let's connect them to the resources that allow them to you know, build their own business and achieve their dreams. So that's really what I took from the program.
Yeah, and I'll follow up on it. Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Broderick. I'm another MS in Finance student who's gone through the program. And I'll try to answer some of the questions that I've seen in the chat while I'm talking about this. But like Emma, I was looking for ways to give back. I'm an avid volunteer. I've been a Girl Scout for 17 years. And one of the statistics they always throw out is that the majority of people donate their philanthropic time and money to animal shelters rather than people. So I always look for people-focused ways to give back to my community. And I saw this is, it's almost like a cheat because I get to give back, but I get a lot out of it personally. As a student, we learn a lot of discrete skills. We learn how to research. We learn how to look through databases. We learn how to create a model in Excel. We learn, you know, the basics of a business and what's needed. But what's missing in a traditional business school education is a way to synthesize all this information and a way to get back to the community. And that's what SURE does. It lets us take all of our technical knowledge and apply it to people. As I said, I'm a finance student, so I spend most of my day, most of my student time in classes like analyzing financial statements, capital markets, portfolio theory, and that's great, but that doesn't teach me how to apply it to a business, which SURE has allowed. SURE is one of the classes that we take. So when I was a consultant, I took it along, or as one of 12 graduate credit hours I took. Undergraduates might take it with 9 to 15 credit hours. So we do have it concurrently, but it's a really nice program in the sense that it's not traditionally structured. So at the markers where you might have traditional exam periods, you can give a little more to your entrepreneurs that week. And then when you're not taking exams or have other major assignments coming up, you can spend more time and dedicate more time to your entrepreneurs. So it gives students a lot of flexibility in that sense. Charlie, do you have anything else you want us to expand on? Charlie, you're on mute.
Charlie.
Dr. Kumwala, if you'll advance to the last slide, and I'll just basically kind of wrap it up and say, we got a question from Zoey. How do you know if a student is prepared to work successfully with a client? And this is actually, so we've been doing this. I've been with SURE for almost 4 years. Dr. Kumwala was doing it on her own for 3 or 4 years before that. And we've grown like crazy. And this model has actually been spread to other colleges at the university. And so now the communication school, the law school, and upcoming the computer science department all have programs where students are working on kind of a focused deliverable for community members. And the analogy I like to use is that, you know, is a teaching hospital, and that teaching hospitals have been doing this for decades, where they prepare professionals by having them work with clients, you know, at a lower than usual rate under the supervision of professors. And so we're just trying to take this model and expand it to a wide variety. And so the computer science program reached out to us because the committee is looking out for them, said the same question, like, what if the student is not polished enough to work with the entrepreneur, or what if they're not ready? And that actually is like stumbling upon the secret sauce of the class, which is that most of the students are in fact not polished enough to work with a client right now. And that's the point, right? Is that having them do this work and build these relationships and work with clients over time, iteratively, the same clients for a semester, really gives them a chance to hone their soft skills, their project management, all this other stuff outside of the technical skills, right? And so not all of our students, unfortunately, are as polished when they come in as Emma and Rachel. And a lot of them really have trouble at first kind of doing the things that some of our students find naturally. And that's really the value add for those students, is getting to build that polish, right? And yes, we've done 2 impact studies. We did one in 2016, and we did one that we finished up just last year, where we did surveys of entrepreneurs who have graduated. Both of them had between a 30 and 40% response rate of our surveys. They've been very impactful from what we can tell. Like the numbers are very good. You know, we've launched or expanded 400 businesses, and we've created a lot of part-time and full-time jobs, and also almost everyone who goes through the program reports a revenue increase in their business and an increase in their personal household income, because we cover a lot of financial literacy as well. But okay, I think that's about, we're butting up on the edge of our time, correct?
Yes, Charlie, some of the numbers are on the poster board and the Padlet at HKU. Some of the impact numbers are there.
Yes.
And so
yeah, if you enjoyed this, please check out our poster. There's a lot more detail as well as the impact numbers. We don't give out loans, and we have to be very clear about that at the beginning, because a lot of people are like, what about the loan? For somehow every semester, no matter how many times I say on the first day we're not giving out money, someone in the third week will be like, well, how much is the prize money again? And I have to be like, we're not giving out prize money. And so, yeah, so that's a big thing. We're trying to work on that. We're trying to work on a way to give like micro grants of like $500 to $1,000, but that's a little more difficult. I would kind of not advertise it that way, because it'll kind of distort incentives away from the people who just want the education. But I would love to connect with people about this. If you have any questions, our email address, catch-all inbox that goes to all of us is sure@uh.edu, and I just put that in the chat. And I'm gonna turn it over to Jared. I believe we're kind of encroaching on the halfway mark. So Jared's got a lot of awesome stuff to say. We've had a lot of fun meeting him and preparing for this presentation. So
thank you. And with this, I will bring on Professor Jared Kalake.
Yes.
Mark Kalake, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. So if you wouldn't mind just advancing a slide.
Yeah.
So hello, everyone. A little background.
So that Abby can talk to us about the basics of that.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. So I am a professor of business and organizational leadership at Valencia College, which is a community college located in Orlando, Florida. And we are a relatively large institution. There's some information on the screen there about us. We have currently 9 campuses spread out over two counties, and we have approximately 76,000 students. So we're a very large college. And with that being said, one of the things that I really wanted to do as a business professor is allow students to gain real world experience. That's what we're kind of all in the business of doing. And as a business professor, I teach a course in social entrepreneurship. And so if we can move to the next slide. So this course is GEB, General Business in the state of Florida, 1155 Social Entrepreneurship. And when we created this course, we really wanted it to be hands-on project-based learning. So that way students were really understanding how to create a social enterprise, what that looks like, what that means. And so when we created the course, we had, from the very beginning, we had them do a case study on a current social enterprise in the Central Florida area, or the Florida state area overall. And one of the things that we had them do as well is that their final project, or their capstone project in the course, was to create a social enterprise business plan. And the idea was that they could create one for themselves, or they can create one that they would actually go on to start potentially in the future, or create it just as a school assignment, and they would just create a fictitious one. And so that's kind of where we started. The social entrepreneurship course has some prereqs and so forth. We started the course, when we started the course in fall 2016. We started with 9 students. We piloted the course. It was co-taught with myself and another business faculty member. The idea there was that we wanted to create the course to have 2 business professors teaching it in case we ever got to the point where we would need more than one section a semester. It actually ended up being the first course that actually ran in the state of Florida. And and again, like I said earlier, it's been community focused and involved. It was adopted in the curriculum that following spring under the current prefix, and it has a cap of 30 students. The nice thing about it, as I mentioned, we've always been project based. We decided to take that to the next level, and what we ended up doing when we took it to the next level was we decided to take the final project, which was the social entrepreneurship enterprise plan, and we allowed the students to do one of two things. They could either work with a local social enterprise on a social enterprise consulting project, or they can continue and create the social enterprise plan for themselves. As all the students were already doing case studies of a local social enterprise, and so they already were familiar with the local landscape, so to speak, of the enterprise market here in Central Florida. And what we did was we allow them to choose between doing a consulting project with a local social enterprise or creating their own. And about 50% each semester over the last 8 semesters have chosen to work on a consulting project. And so the way that works, basically, it's only my course, one course. We have 30 students a semester, and about 15 of those students work in groups of 2 to 3. And they work with approximately 5 different enterprises, the whole course. Each group will work with one social enterprise, and the way that it works is I basically reach out at the beginning, about a month before the semester starts, and I ask our local social enterprises if anyone has any projects, and if anyone has anything that they need kind of worked on that they don't have either the bandwidth or the ability to work on, in terms of marketing plans, feasibility studies, management plans, or a business plan itself. And with that being said, the students are able to pick if they want to work on a consulting project or if they want to do their own. And like I said, about 50% of the students over the last 8 semesters have chosen to work with an enterprise. In order to make sure that the students are able to be ready or prepared for the projects, I meet with each group twice a semester. So the groups that are doing the consulting, I have a little bit more work in that they have to meet with me twice. They do not need to physically meet with me, but we have to meet either Zoom or Skype or in my office. And we meet twice to make sure that what they're doing, what they're producing is adequate for the enterprise. One of the biggest things with this is that I wanted it to be a benefit both for the students and for the enterprises. And so I wanted to make sure that the enterprises were getting a product or they were working on, that they had a project for the students that would not only help the students, but also help the enterprise. I didn't want them to the enterprises to create something out of nothing that they don't really need or they didn't really need any help with. I wanted to really be a mutually beneficial situation. Once the semester is finished and wrapped up, their final work is submitted and presented to the social enterprises at the end of the semester. Some of those will be done in a formalized way at one of their board meetings. Sometimes it's just a quick presentation to the CEO or the founder of the organization, etc. We can go to the next slide. So these are some of the social enterprise types that they've worked with. They worked with a vegan food truck, and they were working on that. The food truck was actually a feasibility study to find out if they could do a vegan school lunch program here in the Central Florida area. They also worked with a garage door installation company, and it was specifically geared towards a new line for garage door installation, specifically for veterans. It was kind of the buy one, give one. And so they created a program for the garage door company that if someone bought a garage door, they can gift a garage door to a veteran. They also worked with another company, non-related, a moving services company for veterans. And in that they were for veterans by veterans. So everyone that was working on the project in the moving services company was a veteran, and they were helping folks that were recently retired from the military to make the move. They also worked with a low bono legal services organization here in Central Florida. Low bono is not free. It's not pro bono, but it's basically pay what you can for legal services. They've also worked with an all organic cleaning products company, a Name Your Price coffee shop, an urban and residential farm, women's empowerment organization, language exchange, Name Your Price yoga, a hospitality shampoo and soap recycling program, recycled fashion, and aquaponics facility. So they've worked with a bunch of different things here in Central Florida. We can move on to the next slide. So these are some of the projects they've worked on over the last 8 semesters or so. They've done a marketing plan for a number of organizations. They've also done a management plan. One of the things that they found in both of those is that many other organizations in Central Florida that have worked with our students are mom and pop operations, a co-founder, one founder, a couple co-founders, and very rarely do they have a management plan laid out or a full marketing plan laid out. So they've been able to work on those kinds of projects. They've also done a couple of complete social enterprise business plans for organizations that wanted to get started. They've done a number of market research projects, financial management plans, operational management plans, and also feasibility studies. They did the feasibility study for the Veterans Garage Door Company, for example. So this is kind of the numbers. We've had 8 semesters now. It is voluntary. It is part of their course in the social entrepreneurship course, but actually doing the consulting is voluntary. There are about 120 students have gone that route. They've worked on 40 different projects and with about 30 local social enterprises. So there's been a few that have come back for more. About 10 of them have come back and done multiple projects. So that's kind of just the numbers. Go ahead. The next steps that I'm really working on, because it is right now, it's only me in my one course. I want to grow the program, want to build it somewhat similar to SURE, as my colleagues were discussing earlier. I want to build on the evaluations for the projects, for the students, enterprises, etc. I'd like to develop some measurement tools for the economic impacts of the projects. And then I want to research and publish the results of the program. And then once that's done, then my goal is to apply for funding to expand the program to not only the social entrepreneurship, but also we have a number of entrepreneurship courses and a bunch of other courses at the college that I think could really benefit from this kind of program and this work. I see a couple of questions in the chat. What is the scope and nature of the typical consulting project? I think I answered that. The knowledge at community college, so the knowledge of community college students provide to the venture owners is around social enterprise. And so as the students are learning it, the venture owners are learning as well. I have what I do to provide the students with as many resources as possible. We have a kind of a digital library of a bunch of resources around consulting, around social enterprise, around social impact, etc., that their students are able to access. I also meet with them twice a semester to give them any assistance that they need. I'm very upfront with the venture owners, with the enterprise owners, that these are obviously college students. Luckily, we have a bachelor's program, so they're not only community college students. They are at a community college, but they also are bachelor students in a large percentage. So they're juniors and seniors in some cases. Some cases they're associated in science, so they might be first year or second year students. But I'm very open with the students, and also open with the social enterprises, exactly where we are and what they can and cannot do. There's no charge for any of the services, any of the consulting and so forth. So a lot of the folks coming in certainly understand the level. It's not an MBA course, and so we're just very upfront with that. And there's been a couple of times where we had to kind of renegotiate or adjust the sales of a project because it got a little too crazy, because we only have 16 weeks, one semester to work on a project. And sometimes there's been a couple of times over the past, a few semesters where a enterprise has asked more than 16 weeks worth of work. And it's obviously it's not a full-time gig, not a full-time job. So we have to adjust that. The average student probably, they're in groups of 2 to 3. And so they probably invest anywhere between 15 to 30 hours total for the semester. And so that's, each student. So if it's a student group of 2, that's probably anywhere between 30 and 60 hours, or 30 and, about 60 hours. If it's a group of 3, it's going to be obviously more than that. And this is a one course focus. So Frank, it's a one course focus. The way the course is built, it's to enable both students to transfer both into the Bachelor's of Business and Organizational Leadership at Valencia or another 4-year institution. The course also goes into a social entrepreneurship technical certificate that the college has that we created a number of years ago, which is a 12-credit certificate. And we developed that in conjunction with our workforce development folks. And so folks that are already working in social enterprise or already working in the field can come back and get that certificate. And then any of our students that are pursuing an AS degree, which is a 2-year business-focused degree, or the bachelor's degree, if they take the social entrepreneurship course with the other course they have to take as part of their curriculum, they also get the technical certificate. So I think those answer about those questions. Like I said, the biggest thing is to expand. The biggest goal for me right now is to expand the program beyond what we're doing currently, beyond just the one course. I'd like to expand it to more. The local social enterprises have loved the quality of work that's been done. And they've really been happy with the results. With that being said, some of the social enterprises decided not to, or some of the founders decided not to pursue their ideas or not to pursue a particular line of product. And that's happened a couple of times based on the research and based on the work of the students. So everyone hasn't been super successful in terms of growing their business. Some have decided to recalculate and adjust the sales of their business, which I think is also beneficial. Okay, so I think that's about everything that I had to share. We did want to open it up for questions. I know we've been answering questions as we've gone along, but we wanted to also open it up for greater questions now, because we've got some really great, we've got students and we've got some other of my colleagues that really want to be able to help folks if they want to get something started in consulting to do that.
So thank you, Professor Karake. We now open it up for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
We can just go on talking about the programs.
Yeah, so Zoey has a question. You may have answered this, but how do students go about identifying the needs of the enterprise? What does outreach or research look like? So for the Valencia students, the social enterprise actually identifies their own need, and they come to the table with that need. So when I send out the email about a month or 2 before the semester starts, I specifically solicit projects that they, or I don't refer to them as projects, I refer to them as pain points for the social enterprise. What kind of thing are they struggling with? And then I have a conversation with the social enterprise, normally either through email or we jump on a phone call, or we meet in person and we discuss what would be most beneficial for them. And in that conversation, I let them know, the students' level, where they are, what they're going to be doing. And we kind of come up with a plan there. And then what I do is I take the projects and I kind of when I go into the course and I present, the first week of classes, I present the 5 plans that could be worked on, or the 5 projects that could be worked on. And then the students self-select if they want to do one or not, and so forth. So the students don't actually identify the needs. The social enterprise or the founders of the organization identify the needs. Sometimes those change, obviously, as we go, but the students aren't identifying the needs in my program.
Sally, you want to mention about how we go about?
Sure. Very briefly, so we have the 2 courses. And the first one is the one that we usually spend the most time talking about. And that makes it really quite easy because the way it works is every student consultant is working with 4 to 5 entrepreneurs to help them write a business plan. and it's a proprietary business plan that we kind of created the structure of, because it's a I don't know how many of you all want to get into the weeds with me about different business plan formats, but for those of you who are interested, it's kind of halfway between the business model canvas, which is like the lean startup canvas, which is a very general kind of building block, high level view, and a traditional banking business plan, which is usually like a quite long, detailed document. And we find it works the best for everybody in between, from ideation all the way to looking for funding. And so the business's unique needs will almost always come out in the process of helping the entrepreneurs write that business plan, right? So that's kind of like they're addressing a lot of different needs as they go through writing the business plan and evaluating each area of the business or nonprofit. And that's in the first class. In the second class, what we do is we actually ask the student, what do you want to work on? And since we have such a massive pool of entrepreneurs who have already been through the program and have special things they want to work on, we will kind of gather entrepreneurs who need help in that area. Or sometimes, like this semester, I believe a lot of them are actually building tools for the SURE program around their interests. But yeah, so that's how we kind of structure the needs of the entrepreneurs. And I believe someone had a question. Angela?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wanted to thank you guys for providing that insight on the other side, because I run a nonprofit, an environmental nonprofit, and we work with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ballard, the Ballard Center, which is a part of BYU, Brigham Young University. So I just wanted to kind of speak on behalf of the nonprofits that have used social enterprise organizations within a college, and that it really is such a valuable value add to what we're doing. And we've been using them, working with them for probably about 5 semesters now. And they always really help us with pain points and, projects. And I mean, it's just been amazing. So I just wanted to really thank you all and just kind of provide that other side of, the organizations that receive the services that you guys are working on. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to just preemptively answer the 2 questions that we always get at this point. And the first one is, what are students able to consult on? Like, what are they going to be consultants for? And I think Rachel and Emma addressed that beautifully, but just to kind of synthesize what they said very succinctly as a direct answer to that question, is that the students kind of bring with them like this entire train of knowledge from all the classes they've taken before. And it's not that we're having to teach them a bunch of technical knowledge in this class. We actually teach very little actual technical knowledge aside from the format of how we run the class. The most things that we teach them is how we run the class, because it's so unorthodox. But that the students actually will bring everything they learned from in class, and then we also teach how to kind of solicit mentors and synthesize information from outside of class use for their entrepreneurs, right? And so it's not so much like that the students are all experts, but they are really good at, finding a mentor, authenticating information on the internet, and managing deadlines, navigating government bureaucracy, all these things that maybe someone from an under-resourced community who wants to start a business is not ready to do. And then the other question is, where do we find the client businesses? And we used to go into the community and do these projects on site with community partners, but we did that so long that we kind of built up residual demand in each of those. We built up residual demand in each of those communities, and now we just have a footprint large enough that we do no marketing, and something like 95% of the people who come to the program are referred by people who've been through the program before. So our marketing is basically the strength of our program. We don't really do any marketing. But then Michelle sent a message that said someone has a question, so I will yield the floor.
I think you already covered it.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was from a little bit ago. But I invite anyone, because I know everything was kind of rolling fast, and I was privately letting people know that I captured. If a specific question hasn't been addressed, please feel free. Oh, we have one. Have you tried multidisciplinary groups of students working with the enterprises?
Okay, we have multidisciplinary groups. We have law students that take our course. The title of our course is Brainstorming to Bankrolling. And it's a general business course that is listed on the law school roster. The course is also going to be listed in the computer science department on their roster, so the students can take that as an elective. And when these students come into the classroom and are working along with the business school students, it actually enhances the richness and the depth of consulting or guidance or mentorship or tutoring. Our students are wearing multiple hats. And so it really helps and enriches that. So our students can't always answer all of the law questions. So we do have the UH Law School clinic group of students that come and do the law portion of the class. But having law students in the class all the time really helps. And so, yes, cross-disciplinary, it's so great to have somebody right in your class that's a law student that can answer law questions right away. So, Charlie, you want to add?
No, I think you got it. I mean, like we don't really this started out as a business only course, and just because of the strength of the course and the uniqueness of the offering, we've gotten people from a bunch of different colleges, and we're working with people in other colleges to set up similar courses. And so there's now similar courses in the Law Center, communications. We're working on one in computer science, and architecture has also approached us. But the short answer is no, we don't intentionally create interdisciplinary teams to work with the entrepreneurs, because we're trying to stick within our kind of business domain, even though the skills are universal. Jared?
Yeah, so our class, our social entrepreneurship class is open to all students at Valencia who have taken one of the prereqs. So about 75% of the students that are in the course are business students, either two-year business students getting a two-year degree, moving on to the workforce, or moving on to a university. And then the third one there would be would be in the bachelor's program that we have at Valencia in business and organizational leadership. And then the other 25%, that comes from across the college. So some of the courses that are the prereqs are the accounting, financial accounting, managerial accounting, economics, micro or macro. We have a music business course. So there's a fair amount of students that are in the course every semester that have taken a music business course, which has then enabled them to take the social entrepreneurship course. My hope, or my ultimate dream, would be to have the course have no prereqs, and so anybody at the college could take it truly. But we have to work within our frames, and so the course is a second to third semester course, and so they have to have the prereqs. But there's a good variety of experiences. Being at a community college, the average age of our students are about 25, 26 years old, and so there's a wealth of knowledge that they're coming to the course with prior to me ever teaching them anything. And so, so there's a good range there of students, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, etc.
And we have another question. How do the students raise funds for the social ventures, and how do they figure out the sustainability of these enterprises?
So from Valencia, the students are not raising any funds for the enterprises. They have worked on the sustainability of these enterprises, through their projects, really trying to advise and consult and produce a document or documents for the enterprise to become self-sustaining. But they're not raising any funds, and we don't have any funding to provide for the enterprises that come through the program. It's really a knowledge. It's a knowledge exchange that we're dealing with. It'd be wonderful if we had an accelerator where we can give funding, but we do not, and so that's not part of the puzzle.
So at the University of Houston, the entrepreneurs that come to us, we, as Charlie said, we do not give them funding, but at the end of the semester, we have our own Shark Tank. We run our own pitch day. It's one of the, we call it an aquarium. It's not like but it run like the Shark Tank that you've seen. And we have bankers and venture capital firms and angel net, everybody so they come to campus and our entrepreneurs pitch in front of them. And that's where a relationship is built between the entrepreneurs and the financial institutions. And then after our pitch day and graduation, as we call it, then these entrepreneurs directly connect with these bankers and private lenders, and that's how they get capital. And that's how they have been, we have been able to launch or materially expand 403 businesses.
Okay, yeah. Just giving a time check. We have 5 minutes left in case anyone wants to share anything through the chat as far as resources. We'll also be capturing that.
Right.
But I'm just giving a time check.
Right. I just want to let you know that our program is fully sustainable. We get funding for our program, external funding from banks that want to support us, private funders, foundations that want to support us, because they're all very, very pleased with the work that we are doing, because it is really at the intersection of higher ed, so experiential learning and community impact. So it's affecting both two major group of stakeholders, our students that come first and the communities that we're embedded in where at each of our institutions.
Yeah, so just briefly, if you're interested in a project like this, we're gonna, a lot of people when we do these talks, they ask us like, oh, how do we implement this? How do we start this? And one is like, please contact us. We'd love to answer any questions. And I'll put our contact in the chat at the end. But also, I want to tell you what we tell our entrepreneurs, which is like to think of 2 ideas taken from the startup world, which is MVP and traction. And MVP is minimum viable product, and traction is doing just enough to start moving forward. And so we always advise, if someone wants to start a project like this, you create the smallest class you think that you can handle and find one community partner who might know some entrepreneurs or some clients who need help. And once you get the students partnered with those clients in just that one semester, our experience is getting funders or partners or possible supporters in the room when the students are doing those work is like intoxicating to them. Like people love to see that happening. Like the #1 way that we raise money for the program is bringing people into the room when the students are doing the work. Because once you see it, they're like, oh, wow, this is so different from what I remember when I was in school. And this is so impactful. I want to be a part of this. And so I just encourage you to just start like, what if you're thinking about doing this and you're like, oh, we need funding, oh, we need partners. I would just say, find one community partner who has the people that you might want to work with there and get a small class so that you can just actually try it once, and start iterating and bringing people in to look at the class who might want to help support or fund you.
Yeah, and the way that I started it is I didn't have any money, had no funding, but I had a course, and I had a course that made sense for this type of work. It was a project-based course, and so I reached out to a couple of social enterprises that I knew were struggling with a couple of things, and I said, hey, would you want to work with some students in my course? And I said, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how it's going to work, it's going to be good or not good. I have no idea. I've never done this before. But are you willing to take a ride? Give it a go. 2 said no, 2 said yes. And so the very first semester we had 2 enterprises. The other 2 said, once you get things kind of figured out, then reach back out to me. The 2 that said yes, the students were phenomenal and they did a fantastic job. And then I got the students' permission. There was 2 groups. So I think that originally there was 4 students, 2 and 2. I got their permission to share what they produced. I took out all of the identifying information from the enterprise. But then when I went the very next semester and reached out to the social enterprises, I said, look, these are 2 examples of the projects that could be done, could be implemented. And again, I said, there's no guarantees, but this is what I'm trying to do. We've done it 1 semester. No one got hurt. Are you willing to do it? And for that semester, I think it was for that semester signed on, and then we just kept doing it. The nice thing from a professor standpoint is it hasn't increased my workload at all. Other than the fact that, you know, I have to send an email, I have to make a couple calls, I have to have a couple meetings, but those things I would already be doing with the students anyway, because it was already a project they have to do in the course. They have to do their, the social enterprise plan regardless. And so it hasn't increased my work at all, but it has made it much more enjoyable. And what's really neat is I see the enterprises that a couple of them that the students have worked with are really flourishing now and doing amazing things. And I go to the coffee shop, and my wife goes to the yoga studio, and it's really neat. It's creating a community, and it hasn't created a lot of extra work, but it's made a lot of impact on the students, and I think in the Orlando community as well.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to kick off the virtual exchange. Great questions, and I hope that everyone has made some new connections. So right now, this session is done, and I hope everyone can attend the keynote at 12:30. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'll put my email in the chat earlier, but it's mking@ashoka.org. Yes,
Thank you,
Selena?
everyone. Thank you for attending our session. I know there were so many other sessions, and you chose to attend our session. We are truly honored by your presence. Thank you very much.
You guys did a